Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Why We Heal. I'm your host, Zuyapa. And before we get started, don't forget to like the show, subscribe to the channel, whether you're watching it on YouTube or Spotify or any medium you're watching it on. It really helps us to grow and to get interest and to keep you updated on the next episodes that are coming up. As you know, this show is all about healing and the ways you can access your truest potential. We are multidimensional beings, so we are taking a multidimensional approach to healing. And today we are talking to Stephanie Osborne about meditation. Stephanie is known as the grounded, flowing, breathing goddess. And as you will see, she is very much all of these things. She's also the CEO of Meditate New Orleans and the official ambassador of wellness for the city of New Orleans. So I'm really excited to have Stephanie here to talk about meditation and her perspectives on how meditation can help us all. As you know, I'm also working in New Orleans, and so this is our city that we love and we want to help. So thanks for coming on, Stephanie.
Thanks for having me, Sophia.
All right, so my name is Zuyapa.
Zuyapa.
Yeah,
Can
the
we
Y
start our
before the P. No,
recording?
no, because guess what? Guess what? Everybody out there also needs to know that my name is Zuyapa.
Zuyapa. I
Yeah,
don't know why I was switching the P and the Y.
that's the
Zupaya.
thing.
Zuyapa.
It's so common.
And I've been calling you that.
I
I
know.
apologize.
You know what? And I saw it too, and I didn't say anything. But it's very common. Like people normally switch the Y and the P. It's so common, so don't worry about it at all. Yeah, but I just thought about it. Sorry to put you on the spot like that. We'll
It's
call it an
okay.
icebreaker.
Okay. That works for me.
Okay, so anyway, as you can see, Stephanie's here and ready to roll with whatever happens. So we'll just get started and, get her going and see all the great things she has to say. So the first question, as you all know, that I ask every guest is, what, in your perspective, is healing?
Mhm. Healing is being clear and free with awareness
Hmm.
in your body and your emotions, your experience.
Mm-hmm. What do you think keeps people from being clear and free?
Fear, trauma, a lack of clarity.
Mm-hmm. So kind of debris that we've picked up, right? Trauma, fear, not
Yeah,
being clear. It's like all the things covering your vision, your mind.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And basically everyone picks up debris. You guys, this is kind of the point of the show,
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Everyone, we kind of come into this world with debris
that's right.
from some energy, the DNA.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
And I think through all the life experiences that tell you that you're something else, I mean, we have so much conditioning, whether from parents, school, society, all the things that kind of want to put you in a box and tell you what you should be that work against your true essence.
yeah. The energetically, physically, emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
it's all energy.
That's right. That's right. Energy manifests in the body, and the body manifests, and the body expresses energy. But
Yeah.
meditation is a great way to get yourself back centered. So, do you want to tell us about your experience and maybe your path with meditation?
Sure. I'm 46. I was introduced to meditation and yoga when I was 15 at NOCA, New Orleans Center for Creative Arts. For folks that aren't in New Orleans, it's like, who are old enough, there was the Fame show. I don't know if
Oh,
you've ever
yeah.
seen the Fame.
Yes, I'm 45.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's like that. NOCA's like Fame, but
Mm-hmm.
in New Orleans. And they've added a cooking class, a cooking course. But yeah, so in at NOCA, there's I'm in the theater. I was in the theater department, and there were 4 classes that we'd take. One was voice, drama, technical design, and the other was body. And in the body class, the physical class, we would start with some Chairman Mayo exercises, then yoga, and then we'd end in like a shavasana, or which means corpse pose. So it would be like a complete state of relaxation. Your all of your muscles are just kind of like melting into the floor. And Ray Virzell was the teacher, and he would just guide us through this beautiful visualization, calming, relaxing exercise. And I liked it so much that I started taking it as a PE requirement in college. I got a degree in psychology at UNO. And so there are certain requirements as far as PE. And instead of gym, I would be in yoga class. And I continued studying meditation, really practicing here and there just for myself. And then I started guiding my friends and family through it. And I was mostly a crisis meditator. So I meditated when I was stressed out, but I didn't have a regular practice. And then I started having anxiety attacks. And I didn't know that they were anxiety attacks. In Western medicine, um, it's oftentimes that they don't focus on your what's going on emotionally.
That's right.
When you're in the doctor's office, right? So they thought that I was going to two different doctors, one for heart palpitations and the other for vertigo, because I was having heart palpitations and dizzy. And so they were giving me two different medicines,
Oh, wow.
to fix the symptoms without looking deeply. And then Katrina hit, and my husband and I are driving in Atlanta. I was scared. Because we didn't have a GPS at that time, and I was like, we don't know exactly how to get there. And my heart started palpitating, and I started feeling dizzy. And my husband said, I think you're having a panic attack. I think that's what this has been. And so he asked me, what are you thinking right now? And so I started talking through what I was thinking, and I realized that I was having a panic attack. But sometimes when we're very, very busy and we may not be going with the flow of our highest vibration, our purpose,
Yeah.
we sometimes disconnect from our bodies.
That's right.
So we don't always, in our mind, our thoughts are always going anyway. Um, you become more aware of your thoughts when you meditate, but even then, you still have thoughts, and you might have to notice something in your body and say, "Hey, what was I thinking just now that may have triggered that thought?" And so at that time, I wasn't connected to my body as much. So then I started realizing, oh, my body can actually tell me when I'm having negative thoughts. And then I can go back, because sometimes we're thinking so much that you might think of a negative thought and then you go to another thought.
That's
And
right.
you don't even realize. So I started meditating more consistently to slow down the thoughts so that I can notice, what am I thinking? Let me talk about that. Let me process that. And then I stopped again. I did it for a few years, and then I stopped for about a year or two. Like, I would start into the crisis meditator mode. And then I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And one of the triggers for ulcerative colitis is stress. And so I noticed that when I meditated more, um, I just felt better. And so then I was turning 39, and I'm married to New Orleans artist Terrence Osborne. He's a well-known artist in New Orleans. I've been supporting his career since I was 19. And when I turned 39, my kids, is this too much?
Nope.
Okay.
It's up to you. It's up to
So
you.
when I turned 39, my son went off to college, and I realized that, I'm about to be 40 years old. My daughter still doesn't exactly know what I do, because most of my work is business, whereas her dad's work is like art. It's
Right.
visual. Like people walk up and say Terrence Osborne, but I'm like the lady behind the man, and I'm happy to support. For sure that has been a wonderful gift for both of us. Um, and I also needed at that time to shift into standing in my power a little more, because now I'm trying to figure out what am I going to do since my son's going off to college. One day my daughter will. And she was getting older, and I was wanting her to see a woman standing in her power. So I told my husband, I have to live my life and live my purpose, but I don't know what my purpose is. And he said, what could you do all day and not worry about pay?
Hmm.
Like if you didn't if money wasn't an issue, what could you do all day? And it would just be great. And I said I could meditate and I could guide meditation all
Hmm.
day. He said, do that. So then I started studying with Deepak Chopra at the Chopra Center in San Diego. And then a couple years later, I got my yoga teacher certification, and then mindfulness based teachers training certification. So that's what I do. I guide meditation. Hmm.
I love it. And it comes from your own experience. So it also gives you a depth to your teaching that you can really relate to what people are going through.
Absolutely.
What are some of the like more common things that you noticed people come in with when they're trying meditation or, trying to learn to meditate? Like what are they really coming for to experience or to let go of?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, there are a few clients who've come in for with high blood pressure,
Mm.
and that always works. I had one client go to the doctor, and her nurse checked her blood pressure, and it was high. And she said, wait, I have the tools. She started breathing, and she watched in real time her blood pressure go down. So that's pretty cool. But a lot of folks are just wanting to calm their minds. We have these replaying thoughts. Sometimes you call it the yogi mind,
Yeah.
the yogi's mind. And that just kind of allows us to slow down the thoughts and really sometimes just separate from social media, from grasping and rejecting, and just allowing ourselves to be and allowing whatever comes up. Like the becoming an observer is a really beautiful experience because there's no need to interact,
Or
no
react.
need to respond or
Hmm.
overreact or react in any way. Just being, there's a freedom there, and I'm always wanting to move into that without pressure.
Yeah, I know in my practice, I talk a lot about how we are not the feelings and the emotions and the thoughts. It's because if you watch, the feelings change, the emotions change, the thoughts come and go. Like, we were talking about earlier, like you might have one thought, then it comes and it's another thought, but the truth of who we really are doesn't change. So if we can separate ourselves a little bit, at least just to start experiencing that difference, then we can really relate to what we truly are, which is that ever never changing aspect, and then we also gain a little bit more control, right? So you can start doing things like, oh yeah, I'm going to meditate so that I can change my awareness. Or I'm going to start healing so that I can shift my perspective and, change myself so that I can be more in my true center. And that meditation is great. I think the other really good thing about meditation and the way that you're doing is that it's so accessible. Yes,
Hmm.
you kind of do. I do think that it's really good to have a teacher, someone to reflect and to be against, and to learn from. But it's something that you can just do no matter where you are, like you're saying.
I love that. Hmm. Whenever I offer a workshop, I love to start with Ujjayi breath, or the
Mhm.
ocean breath, because it's one of those breathing techniques that you can just do in front of anybody. No one knows that you're doing it, and you can really calm yourself and center yourself, and you can just look like you're just sitting there, you know?
Yeah, I used to
It's
do those
such a,
things when I was on the train.
yeah, I mean, I have a girlfriend who said she did the alternate nostril breathing, but you can do whatever you want to do. It's like that's something that I taught her, and she said she knew that she thought that people were kind of wondering why she's sitting there,
Right.
but said she felt better afterwards. So
That's right. And if anybody's watching, she's just exposing them to options. So it's all good anyway.
yes, absolutely.
If there was something that you wanted to share, like say someone's watching who maybe has never tried meditation or they have tried it and it's really difficult, what would you say to them?
I would say that, um, well, I would start with the word difficult, challenging. I
Mhm.
would change that to challenging. Like if because a lot of folks say that meditation is difficult. And difficult, you can't change that. It's just
Mhm.
always going to be difficult. But if you look at it as if it's challenging, it means that it can be shifted.
Mhm.
And so I tell people all the time, like, change that to challenging. And also, I would say that a lot of folks need to give themselves grace. People think that meditation is about just erasing your thoughts. And so if you notice your thoughts, then it's a problem. But no, that is what meditation is, just noticing the thought and then saying, oh, I'm thinking right now. That's mindfulness.
Mhm.
And then bringing yourself back to the present moment by focusing on any anchor. And anchors are just the thing that you pay attention to when you're meditating, like your breath or a flickering candle
Mhm.
or even sounds
Mhm.
or a mantra.
Mhm. I often find that people struggle with meditating because they can be under the impression that it's just sitting and like zoning out, when in reality there's process to it and there's something very specific about it. And so although on the outside it looks like somebody's just sitting in quiet, or maybe whatever, when you have a process and I think have more understanding about what it really is, then it helps. Like I know in your like in the mindfulness meditation space, it is about like observing the thoughts, and having, like you're saying, the anchor. Um, some of the way, like some of the perspective that I have on meditating as well is like the a foundational aspect of meditating is to connect with God. It is to
Mm,
release the thoughts, like to disconnect from the thoughts, to disconnect from our experiences in the world, to find that stillness, because in stillness is where divinity lives. And so when we
mm,
can access that divinity and bring that into our consciousness and awareness, then we can bring it into our lives. But if we are constantly busy thinking, high blood pressure, all the things that people experience, especially in New Orleans, because our culture is so busy,
yeah.
we're so disconnected
Yeah.
from divinity. And so,
Yeah. Deepak Chopra talks about slipping into the gap.
mhm,
And that gap is that space between your thoughts where you are directly connected to source. We're
right,
already connected to source. We're always connected to source, whether we know it or not.
right.
But it's when you have that awakened awareness,
Mhm.
and that's the intention, just like you're saying. I'm just saying what you're saying, but in
Yeah, we can
another
say
way.
it 10 times in multiple ways so that anybody who
Yeah.
relates to any particular way can get it.
Right.
It's all
Yeah.
good.
Mhm.
I once, like years ago, because, like I mentioned, I teach meditation, but we teach different styles. And
Mhm.
I once made this little graphic about this is why you can't meditate. And it was things like, because you have to poop, you
Mhm.
know, and
Mhm.
you can't really let go, or you had caffeine that day, or,
Mhm.
like you're stressed out, or you don't have enough energy, because you also
Mhm.
need energy kind of to meditate. Because if you don't, then you're going to go to sleep. Then you can't really
Right.
hold yourself up.
Yeah, because meditation is about being intentional with being awake in the moment.
That's right.
Yeah. awareness, becoming an observer
Mm-hmm.
of your thoughts, but also of the moment. The only difference is that when you're in the moment, when you're fully in the moment, you can't become an observer because you were just present,
That's
fully
right.
present, experiencing what is. But the intention of using an anchor is to become an observer of something until we slip into presence.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sure that's really helpful for people because, I mean, as you know, I'm talking about it like from spiritual, energetic perspectives, and a lot of people, that can be a reach. So, I'm saying it to like, put it out there, but it is really nice. Like, I really care about the city, and that's part of why I moved back. So, um, I just love what you're doing. Like I love that you're
I
creating a
like
space. What do you
I
say?
like how you communicate. I like how you communicate. I like the verbiage that you use to express um, how to slip into awareness
Mm,
and the intention behind it. I think that we all have different languages, and meditation guides are like you. There was one time that I was having a little bit of an issue, and I went to a massage therapist. And we came to this, it's my massage therapist I've used for probably over 20 years.
oh wow.
And yeah, and so I love her. She's my girl. But there are also other massage therapists in the group, and there are a couple others that I really like, and some that I just don't work with. It just doesn't work for me. And so we kind of came to this understanding that a meditation guide is just like a massage therapist.
Hmm.
People come in, they need to be healed. They need to help experience, feeling better. And so every massage therapist, every meditation guide might not resonate with some folk. Some people, like I'm very linear, so I say I speak in linear terms. Some people are more spiritual. Some people offer longer moments of silence. Some people guide and speak every minute, and some people need that.
Hmm.
So all of that is good. And the intention is that we hope that when you come and sit with any of us, I'm not just speaking of you, I'm talking to your audience,
Hmm.
that you experience the joy of being in presence. And if you're not getting that, you can say, are there any other teachers that might teach a little differently?
Hmm.
Because ultimately the goal is for you to enjoy and get the benefits of sitting in stillness.
Right. So rather than saying this didn't work for me, I couldn't do it, it's like, oh, well, let me try it another way. Let me try a different
Right.
experience.
Hmm.
Just
Yeah.
like if it was a burger. If you're going to get a
Yeah.
burger, you don't like it, you're going to go try another burger. So
Right. Some people like vegan burgers. Some
that's
people
right.
like Wagyu beef,
I like Wagyu personally, but
Oh, yeah, me too. I just like the meat. I'll just get a filet mignon. So,
that's right. We should do that one day. So, okay, I know that you have a retreat coming up,
yeah.
and I want to hear more about that because it's also very specific. So, you can tell everyone because it's definitely going to go out before the retreat happens. And
Yes.
yeah, tell me about
Okay, thank you. So, as the ambassador of wellness for the city of New Orleans, I have a list of things that I committed to do. One of those things is shifting awareness of mindfulness within the school system. And so, what I'm doing is creating a wellness retreat for principals this summer. And it's an all inclusive retreat. They'll get massages and meditation, ample amount of time to sleep, healthy food, yoga. And the intention is for them to experience what mental wellness is, taking care of themselves as a whole person, each person, not just as the principal, but also when you take care of the head, they say, everything else um, flows
it. That's
and
right.
gets better. So So what I'm interested in doing is a trickle down effect. We're going to work with the principals and then gradually the teachers and the students, ultimately to cultivate a culture of mental wellness in the school system. And I think that will make a huge difference on so many levels. It won't even be, it can't be touched, the amount of benefit it will have on the schools in the city, I think.
Definitely. I mean, the city, period, the community, because basically, I think a big issue is coping mechanisms. People live in really stressful situations, and you go to school or work and it's stressful. So if you don't know how to cope, then you just carry that stress and it snowballs. So in doing this, you're basically going to be giving people a whole new coping mechanism that's going to
And
ripple
learning
out.
how to regulate their emotions,
Yeah,
you know. hmm hmm Um, Sometimes there's so much going on with the teachers, right? Right now, they're having a hard time retaining teachers because the teachers have a lot of work. Their payment isn't, at the top of the country.
right.
And they're, with these kids, they're, and some of these kids like have a lot of trauma going on. And so they're playing mama, therapist, disciplinarian,
Yeah,
and then they go home and they have their own stuff. So everyone needs to be taken care of.
that's right.
And we need rules and um, direction, plans in place to help calm and connect with self when you're having a hard time, on every level.
What month is that happening?
June.
Okay.
Mhm.
Right in the heat of summer.
Yeah. It's at the end of the school year. So
Right,
it's
right,
like
right.
it's like the last week before the teachers take their vacation. So it's really but for the principals.
Is it going to be a weekend thing or like 3 or 4 days?
It's 3 nights
Okay,
in 3 days. Yeah.
that's really cool.
At Nopsey Hotel. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
hmm
All right. So,
For you.
okay. Okay.
hmm Okay, so this is Zuyapa. That is
Mhm.
such a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. So this is a video.
Yep.
So this is a recording and interview. And I wonder, how do you feel about the pauses, sitting in silence for a couple seconds here and there in between, you know? It's
Mhm.
an interesting question to me because I always feel like I want to fill in the space. And I think a lot of folks want to fill in space. And so, how do you feel when we have the pauses?
Mhm. Well, for recording, I think about the pauses only for the listener because I think, if you're listening to it, if you're watching it, it's different because you can stay connected. But if you're only listening, you might hear the pause and think it's an issue. But
Mhm.
personally, I pause. Like I'm very thoughtful. I listen very deeply. I take time to reflect and share oftentimes. I think the moments between speaking are so golden. And it
Mm,
really gives us an opportunity to respond and be more authentically present. Because, oftentimes too, when we're talking, if you respond immediately, you probably miss something. Because then you're
mhm.
already formulating your response before the person finished talking.
Absolutely. hmm
So yeah, personally, I'm okay with pauses, but yes, most people are not okay with silence.
hmm
It's normal.
But I hear what you're saying as far as the recording. Like, if it's is it on a podcast?
Yeah, it's podcast. It's on Spotify, but they do video now. But it'll go on
Oh,
YouTube. It's also on Apple Music and all kinds of other places too.
sweet.
Yeah. Silence
Yeah.
is good. And maybe that's something to talk about too. I think I'm okay with silence because I've created space inside of myself. So I have silence inside. And so,
Yeah.
you know, like we're talking about, a lot of people don't have space. There is no silence. So then that silence is awkward and it feels like there should be something there. When really, like, you know, you said earlier, like the space, I forget how you phrased it when we were talking about it, but like that space is where you can access source. Is that what you said? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the
And
space
that's
is
in
where you
any kind of way.
yeah, where you connect to source.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, source is, like I said, those source is always there.
Hmm.
It's just that we're aware of what's here.
Right.
And sometimes source is here,
Yeah.
depending on what you're looking at. But
We'll always hear.
source, yes, source is the highest form of love and what is.
Mm.
And that includes everything. I mean, describing, I think that I'm going into something else because now I'm like trying to describe my idea of God.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, okay. Um, sources, or okay, God. I don't use the term God unless I'm talking to someone who believes in God, and then I use that term. But source is the highest power that exists, and it's in everything. It's weaved in everything. It's it's in my body. It is my body. It's in my spirit. It is my spirit. It's also in my words and the space between me and my phone. Um, sources, the trees and laughter and pain. It's all that is. What do you think source is? What is God to you?
Well, first I want to say, and what's coming up for me as you were talking is that source in God animates life. So kind of
Mm,
what you're saying is, you know, like it's in my body, it's in everything around me. You know, we are in this physical material world, which is the opposite of the limitless, where, you know, God, the ultimate light, resides. And so we are in
mhm,
this world of physical density because everything is balanced, everything has a polarity. And so that energy of God, that energy of source, that light comes in and animates life and animates us. And so, you know, again, what we're talking about meditation, we're talking about healing, is that we want to be more and more animated with source in that light to be most
mm,
fully alive, because otherwise we're living basically in the density, dense in our
mm,
minds, dense in our thoughts, in our hearts, in our, all the things are so dense, but we need the light to uh, animate us into our divinity. So that's one aspect of, you know, in relation to what the way you're saying it, the way I see God. But yeah, I do see God, like ultimate God, as like this limitless light that is responsible for creating. And in that creation, the light flows down through a hierarchical process, through beings,
mm,
through, you know, process, and through this great divine way that it was, you know, made to be created, all the way down through us. And us being that reflection of God, being a part of that creation of God, we have all of that within us naturally, but we need it to be awakened. We need it to be opened up. You know, we need to know it. We need to just remember, because, you know, again, we are it, but we come into density and we hit that density and it's like, oh, I forget who I really am because now I have to experience myself anew and choose and know. So the key is, how
yes.
do we remember? So we meditate to access that 0 point. You know, we receive healing to peel away all these layers and conditioning to access the 0 point in the space and the light within us. Ultimately, to live our highest purpose, to live in the mission that we came here when we agreed with God that we were going to come here to do. And that's when we feel that joy and we know, like, that light within us. You know, I'm also going on a tangent now, but you got me talking about God. So yeah, that's the way I see it. Because
I love that.
so many people come because they're like, there's more. I know that there's more out there. I know there's more for me. I know that there's more, like I'm missing something. And no matter which way I communicate it to that particular person, what you're missing is that light. You're missing the aspect of your true self. Because whether you have, and I'm going to keep using high blood pressure because I know that that is very prevalent here in the South because we eat salty food. We eat like all this rich stuff, like it's not very healthy lifestyle, guys. We all know that.
And we have high blood pressure because a lot of times we don't know how to manage our stress.
Yes. I don't want to blame it all on the food, but that's part of it. Yes, we don't know how to manage stress. So, what was I saying? Okay, so whether it's a health issue or whether it's coping or whether whatever it is, when we are more filled with light, we're basically pushing all of the other stuff out. We're pushing the stress out, which causes illness. We're pushing the density out, which causes illness. Like on this show, I've had a body worker and I have my traditional Chinese medicine doctor coming on. And it's really interesting because, they're all talking about different aspects of healing. And my body work, I think it was Andrew who was saying how we're like a hydraulic system, our bodies. And I was like, oh, I love that. Because like the blood is pulsing and pushing, like our breath is pulsating and pushing things through. But we also have all these energy meridians and all these energy centers within us that if we are heavy and stagnant, then our energy also gets heavy and stagnant. So we really do need like our bodies to be animated to push life force through us, which helps our physical health, right? Which helps your emotions. It helps to clear your mind, all that stuff. So whatever your approach inside out, I think I was going to go in another direction I won't go in, but just talking is not always going to do it. It keeps you in your mind. So we have to really approach ourselves and be aware of like that we are more than this physical body.
Yeah.
We are God.
Thank you for that we are. I believe that. But not in a, it's very I try to be really careful with saying that, even though I do believe it. And I experience that to be my truth. A lot of folk who, we're in New Orleans.
Yes, very
Zuyapa.
religious. That's right.
We're a Catholic city, and also a lot of Baptist folks in here, in New Orleans. And so to say that we are God to some folk might sound
sacrilegious,
blasphemous. Yes, blasphemous.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when I hear someone else speak in terms of we are God, I don't visualize it in the same way that a lot of religious folks see God.
That's right.
So, if you think of the man in the sky with, who's like damning people and rewarding people, then no, I don't believe I am that God. I'm more speaking in terms of being connected to all that is.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I have a few thoughts about this because, my work is very much about this, like reminding people that they are God. And it is important because I'm not saying you are the God, right?
Right.
We are not the God because we're talking about what God is, like the limitless light, the essence. But we can say we are made in the image of God, which means that we are direct reflections. So we have the essence of God within us. We are part of the creation of God, with God, of God. And also I grew up in Catholic church, I have religious experience. I didn't find it very empowering. So to think that I am any less than I truly am is disempowering. And that keeps me from really being able to embrace the teachings and the principles of God, of Jesus, of the light. So for me, it's like, what is going to empower me to live my fullest life, my fullest self? Not what tells me that I'm less than, not what tells me that I'm wrong and everything I have to be guilty and shamed for, like we are reflections of God. We are creators. We have limitless potential. And so if that is what helps you to understand that you're God essence, think about it that way. So the question is like, what are we creating with this magic, this potential that we have in us? If you don't know who you really are, then your creation will reflect that.
Wow, that's a good one. You should put a quote on that. You should put a picture of yourself with a little
A little quote.
text box. Yeah.
Thank you. I will.
Good one.
But this is
Yeah.
also my training. You know, I will say, like, I've always been really aware, but I've been training, you know, in the mystery tradition since I think like 2013. So the point of it is, this is the mission. It's world peace. It's helping people to know who they really are, because when we know, how can we not be peaceful? How can you not
Yeah.
treat the person in front of you based on their divinity when you really know what yours is? You know, it's just part of this is the mission. This is the whole thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
Zuyapa, thank you for this.
You're welcome. Thank you. And it's a great place to kind of end. I know it's 110, not to you guys, but for us, it's 110. Because we started out talking about you're the goddess. So we're ending on your divinity.
Awesome.
So
I
cool.
received.
Is there any like final parting words that you want to share with anyone?
Yeah, I think that there are many reasons that you might choose not to sit, and I'll just name a couple. One is boredom.
Mm.
You know, when we're overly stimulated, it's challenging to sit and not do or interact, or because we are sometimes addicted to um, the reaction. I dislike, pleasant, unpleasant. And so you may just instead name those things while you're sitting. Oh, bored, interested, relaxed, tense, you know? That's one thing. And another reason that folk might be, I want to say that some folk might feel uncomfortable with meditating is if they've had a really traumatic situation, like some trauma in their lives. And sometimes when you have trauma, you don't want to sit because those things come up. And in cases like that, if you choose to practice meditating, you don't have to do it as a sitting still with your eyes closed. You can do walking meditation. You can practice yoga. And you could also choose not to sit until you've seen a therapist who will help you, help guide you through some difficult emotions before sitting in stillness. So I wanted to just, or your healer. Yeah.
So I didn't want to interrupt you.
That's okay. I've completed it.
Okay.
So you interrupted at the perfect time.
It was just a little icing, that's why.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I wish you the best on your wellness retreat or your principles retreat. I'm sure it's going to be amazing, and I look forward to seeing the ripples out through the community. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. This is a really great conversation and went in great directions, which is what I really love, just letting it flow where it flows. We hope that you have been able to connect with your divinity and have opened your awareness to the principles and the possibilities within meditation and knowing your true self, and that you are inspired to discover all the ways that healing will help you in your life. So again, I'm Zuyapa, and this is Why We Heal. Follow along and stay tuned to what is coming next. Till next time.